Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. There we go. Hi guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Wanted to do a trade review for today and go through what we do in the room a little bit. So I'm going to review ES, GC, and CL. So I'm going to start with the easiest one of the bunch and move my way to ES and CL. I want to show where the trades that I took, what worked. I'm going to show you what I missed and should have done better, and where I can improve for tomorrow. Because day trading, which is a high performance sport, right, requires constant adjustment to looking for what you can improve and do better, where you made your trading decisions that were poor, where you made them that were great, and what you could look for to get to that next level the following day or the following week, right? It's not an easy process, but it is a process that can be done where you can make money, not necessarily day over day, but certainly week over week. So let's jump into it. Number one, I'm going to give the easy one and just get it out of the way, and that was GC or gold. Gold coming in overnight had a very tight range. I'm going to show it on the 5-minute chart. It's just very easy to see it there. If I can find it, there's my GC chart, and here we go. I posted this to members, and I simply said between 14.29 and 14.26 was the one place I did not want to trade. Why is that? Just really quick, for those of you who are not familiar with volume profile, let's get this out of the way. Let's see if I can pull that up one more time. There we go. It's hidden somewhere in here. We are going to find it. There we are. And here is GC. And so I'll give you a quick, easy trading trick. If you have the volume point of control, so this is a volume profile and a TPO profile. If you have both the volume point of control and the TPO point of control, they make great targets to the upside and to the downside, right? So if you can get short above to make a target in, or you can get low below to make a target in, they're great. But what they do many times is once they get there, they tend to chop. And you can see that we just essentially did that. We chopped from 14.29 to 14.26, which on GC is no range. No one in the room made or lost a penny on gold, nor did they get stressed out, nor did they waste energy, time, or effort trying to make a trade work there, because it just wasn't worth the effort. Quite simple. GC is not ready to move. It was stuck inside, and we are looking for other opportunities. When it stretches away down to the yellow and white zones, which is what we're looking for, we'll trade there. And until then, we can wait and just kind of relax. So next, let's go to CL. CL was quite interesting today. I did well for most of the day. I made one trading error there with room to improve. So first, a 5-minute chart, which again is posted in the room. That's what we started off with. So this is the basis, or the fundamental areas we want to trade. Again, this blue area, if we come over here and we look at the profile for CL, right? So this blue area is the prior day's volume and TPO point of controls right there at 55.81, 55.67. So the problem with the point of control and the TPO point of control is that they make great targets, but the market tends to get choppy in that area. And sometimes it bounces out of there. Sometimes it trades straight through. And just too often, the phone's ringing. We'll get rid of that. Too often, it's simply too hard to tell which way it's going to trade. And I guess today we were really looking for a balanced market. So with that being said, for the day, if you look at the chart for today, hold on one second. That was for the end of the day. So this is the point of control here. And if you will look, so the blue area was the prior day's TPO and volume point of control, right? So you can see in this particular case, it ended up acting as support. It's a 50-50 deal. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's bad. Unfortunately, the resistance got hit, that yellow zone got hit between 2:20 in the morning my time and 6:25 a.m. So this chart is the basis for what we are looking for general entries: resistance above, support below. And you can also see we're generally using, after we get a roll down like that, we're trying to figure out where the 50-60 retraces are. And you can see we retraced right to the 50 retrace up here at 50-60 56.40, and it was just really a balanced chop day, right? And if you look at the other end over here, we came back to the 50.60, which I encourage my coaching clients all the time. Draw out the 50.60s because the market likes to spend a lot of time testing those 50.60s, and we get responses off those 50.60s. So that's step one. But in the room, we wanted to kind of take it to as I've been evolving the room, taking it to a higher level. Where can we get specific entry in and out, right? And we're trying to accomplish two objectives. Sometimes we're trying to swing the trade, right? All the charts will set up perfectly where you have room for a big stretch. The rotations will be nice, fat, and wide. But sometimes you look at it and you'll go, it's going to be a choppy day. So coming into the day, you can see I did the market preview. It's on the prior video to this one. We said, hey, it's Monday. It's summertime. It's most likely going to be slow, grindy, and balanced. Now, started off the day pretty good. What I'm looking for here now, this is the algorithm combined with the stochastic. The stochastic has some information there for me, but I don't live and die by the stochastic. It's just an oscillator. Almost any oscillator that gives you short-term overbought and oversold is okay. Most of them will lose you money if you don't have a bit better edge than that. So this is kind of the bottom indicator is background. The middle indicator is the TRADENPERFORM momentum indicator. And what I'm looking for, along with these little signals that my algorithm has given me, is telling me where energy is being expanded and contracted and where we're trapping people. So as you'll see this morning, when we came in, I was looking for, and I'll show you right here. So I'm just going to kind of go step through it from 8 o'clock forward, right? And what I'm looking for is continuation in waves both up and down for entries and exits. That's specifically what I am looking for, right? So this morning, this was just a bunch of chop. There was really no way to kind of get a clear picture through here from 3 in the morning. What I was looking for is we came in after we opened around 8:30. So you'll see here, this was our first, let me see if I can find it here. This was my first consistent wave down, and I'm going to show it to you. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It broke here, here, and this is where we broke. And if you'll go back, this should line up perfectly with the video I was doing in the morning. And this little area right here became my resistance. Excuse me, that was ES, and that was still correct on ES. I apologize. Let me jump over to CL really quick, which is right here. That's why the chart was looking funny. So I apologize. Let's go back. 8 a.m. There we are. Okay. So we get this big push off the bottom. This rotation, our first rotation down, actually set resistance all the way back. I'm going to test it. Dun, dun, dun. Actually, all the way back over. Is this the one we broke below? All the way back over here, and we never were able to get a test of that location. That would have been the prime, that 56.61 to 56.80. It never got there. I imagine if it gets there tonight, first time into this location, we will reject, right? So then when I was left with trying to find a new rotation. So here we were at 8:10, and the problem with the first rotation over, and I'm going to show you where I made a mistake, was that we got this big rotation down. We had this giant delta push up. Now I'm going to, for those of you who aren't familiar, what I'm looking for is where the traps are, right? So what ended up happening was this was the gap and the high of the gap in Asia, right? And the high of Asia right there. This is a spring. Spring is when you trade above an area of prior resistance, right? It attempts to hold above, and then it trades back in. This area right here set the spring. An area where you can usually just simply take the trade is on your first shift down, which my algo is telling me. This shift down tells me that energy was expanded here, and you can usually simply short that 56.40 area on that shift down. That's not what I was looking for in the room. I'm going to show you what I was looking for in the room. We actually got all the way over here. I ended up taking a short, right here at 56.21. And what we had was We came back up to this fractal pair, right? Backside tested. We had a shift up, then a shift down. That became my entry. I believe 56.20 specifically was my entry, and my cover was 56. Now, that was done perfectly. I will take 56.20 for 56 all day long in a chop market. And I apologize for being so specific. It's kind of hard to remember through the course of the day exactly where you entered and exactly where you exited if you don't. I don't have my actual trade sheet in front of me, but I do know that I shorted there and I covered 56. That was perfect. I know Joyce and a couple other people in the room caught that trade, and that was a good entry because your stop was simply one tick above this location, right? Now, here, I'm going to show you where I made my trading error. When we pushed back up here and this set up the short, we also set up a long, which is the reason why I covered into this 56, or at least I thought we did. So guys in the room specifically, this is where the trading error occurred. Okay, we came down, we got fractal shift up, diamond pattern, right? And I knew that I wanted, or at least I thought I wanted a retest of this area. The problem was the size of the stop was too big because almost every bar here, instead of being tacked in a tight pattern, was all stacked on top of each other. So instead of 18 to 20 ticks, it was ended up being 30 ticks. I wasn't going to take that, and I thought we could push back down to at least test the point of control. If you remember, I had this drawn out over here, boom, boom, and I said we should at least be able to target this point of control to the downside. Now, here's where I made my mistake. Even though we closed above the wave, guys, the point of control only closed one tick above the wave. That does not qualify in my rule book as a proper close above this fractal wave. And so when I ended up taking the long back over here, I think I took the long at 56 with a stop at 55.88, and I ended up getting stopped there. Not a big deal. I obviously took 20 from here, taking a 56, what turns out was 56, 56.04. It turned out to be somewhere between a 12 and 15 tick stop. Nothing horrible. Stops are fine, and they're part of day trading, right? Here's where I made the mistake, guys. So see how this is how the bottom of the wave right here, where we tried to hold. As we pushed in here, see how we pushed underneath this double bottom right here? Show it to you. Okay, we push into the double bottom. This ends up being our first wave up. Why? If this is our first wave up, this bar, so I'm going to reset this. I'm going to cut it right here. Exactly how I do it in real time in the room, right? Put it above. This bar doesn't close. This bar right here, see that blue bar? It's a full bar. So this is a 9 range bar that I'm working with, right? So I'm trying to get very detail oriented on my trade, right? So see the difference? So I'm going to erase this so everyone can see in the room the difference between where I took the stop and then where my second mistake came in, which was not taking the long. So I'm going to show it to you. Here's where I thought we got over the first time. I made a mental error. So it'll go on the checklist. Is the bar that triggered the wave at least one tick better than, meaning 2 ticks above, the initial wave up, right? If it is not, right? If it is not, then I don't want to take the backside test. Pretty simple rule, right? Because again, not that it doesn't work sometimes, but I'm trying to push to my highest odds trade over and over and over and get rid of what isn't working well. And in order to learn that, as markets change slightly over time, you have to add and subtract small little pieces to your core trading, right? So remember, right underneath here is Friday's volume point of control and TPO point of control right here in the 55.90, which we know from the 5-minute chart, and the TPO and the volume profile, right? So over here, where I made the mistake was what I was hoping for here was when we broke the low was to get fractal shift down, then fractal shift up. A bunch of people in the room using the algo simply took the long right there on the fractal shift up. I didn't take it. It just I wasn't comfortable. I didn't see it, and I was pissed about getting stopped, quite frankly. So I didn't reset. Where I should have taken the trade here was quite straightforward. So this ends up being my first wave right here. I'll highlight it. This is the clear close above. Backside test, entry, stop. Now, how much was at risk there, depending on how I want to take it? Well, initially, I have two ways of handling this trade, guys. So I can either come in and simply take the trade here. So I'm going to measure that out for you. Take the trade at 56.07, stop 55.84. So that is 30 ticks worth of stop. Okay, fine. You can say that's a lot, but you pretty much ended up with 56.08 for 56.46, which means you ended up with a one-to-one RR, more or less. You ended up with a one-for-one and the potential of an upside break due to the size of the strength of the wave that was coming off the bottom earlier, even though it did not break out later in the day. There was another way to take that trade. When we closed above, as soon as we formed this fractal right here, you simply could have used that fractal as your stop, entered on the close, stopped right below. Now, that has a higher stop rate, right? But your risk on that trade ends up going 56.13 to 56.04. Several people in the room took that. I made the mistake right there. I was still absorbed in my trading error. So I got to tell you something that's interesting about that trading error that I want to correct, right? If you watch football, if you listen to anyone who talks about performance coaching, and along with me when I'm coaching people, right? When you make a mistake, you want to learn from that mistake and forget about it as soon as possible, meaning you want to learn the lesson, but forget about the event, right? So what I did not do, okay, so when I'm going through and journaling, what I did not do is I did not process. So what I did right here is I didn't take the trade off the top of the window, right? That's fine. I waited till it came all the way back and I took this speed bar right here long, right? All of that was done correctly. Where I lost it is when I got stopped, I got so pissed that I got stopped right here or flustered, right? That I did, and instead of going, okay, how did that go wrong? Oh, the bar only closed by one tick above on the point of control. I didn't roll back over here and go, well, there's my next setup. There's the close above. Here's the backside test. There's the speed bar. There's my stop. And then there's my push, right? I could have simply risked the 56.13 against the 56.05. Let's just call it a 3, right? And ended up with a 2-to-1 RR. I did not do that, right? If we'll look at the top of that area, we never get set up on the short, again, on top, unless you are uber aggressive and you are willing to take fractal shift. That's an algo generated setup. And then you got algo shift, speed bar shift, which is a very high odds. You'll see it got generated over here as well. And that algo shift, you actually will see it off the top as well, back over here, right on top. That particular combo provides really big P&L. When you get a speed bar, fractal, shift down, and I would encourage those who have the ability to take more than one shot, because sometimes it takes 2 shots to make the trade work, to take that trade every time. And then here's the interesting thing, right? See how we don't get a down wave? So there's never a wave to tell us to get short. Again, the stochastic is an eyeball once the trade is kicked in. It's just kind of a measuring gap to see if we're overbought or oversold. But the wave itself and the algo is telling me what to get in and out of. Now, this is what's interesting. See how this was the first wave in this series up after we broke, right, of this push? This wave right here, so I'm going to eliminate it. This wave right here is the bottom wave, right? See how it backside tested? Well, look where we come back to the tick again. Bam, right to the tick. That's overdone. Now this is right at pit close, but look at the response, 56.05 all the way back to 56.45. Here's what's interesting. This is our first wave down right here, these 3 bars. Okay, and then if you want to improve your entry, take the point of control on this shift right here. Bam, look, we come right to the tick and it rolls right back down. So I'm glad that I made some money in CL today, right? That was really good. Caught some nice trades. Where could have I improved, which I'm more interested in for tomorrow, right? Number one, be cognizant, and I added it and started on my checklist, is the bar that closes the wave, the first wave up, which is what I'm most interested in, is the bar that closes the wave. Is it more than one tick above? If so, good to go on the backside test, right? Or even take the bar itself with a stop below. If it's a speed bar, a blue speed bar, which again the algo generates. And B, right, if it gets tested again, you can take it again if we're overextended on the stochastic. Again, you have to be willing to take the stop if there's no speed bars or speed bar fractal combo within there. You have to be willing to take the stop, but you generally, when it's tight like this, you can get a one-to-one in many, if not all situations, right? But then the interesting thing about this here is here's the down wave right here. It's these 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we highlight those, you will see we come off of here. We don't reject off the bottom, which makes sense, right? But look, when we get overextended on the stochastic again, coming into the close, come right up to backside test the point of control of the speed bar fractal shift down, which is a high odds trade, and it rejects right back down at the end of the day. That's after hours close and that's slow trading. So I don't know that I would necessarily jump in on that. And I certainly didn't take it, but I do know what I'm looking for tomorrow. And again, these patterns usually repeat daily. It's not exactly a mind-boggling, confusing thing. We usually get set up day over day, right? So now let's go do ES really quick before we're done. So the first thing on ES, I'm going to pull over the 5-minute chart, right? Again, I post these for members and occasionally for the public on a daily basis. So if you look at the 5 minutes, what was highlighted, and again, you can go see the market preview, and I said this morning coming in, this whole area is your prime resistance, and you should be able to find some good shorts out of that location. Number one, okay? Number two, what were we looking for? When I came in the morning and I was doing the preview, you can see it, it's on the preview. Let me see if I can find the chart. Yes, there we go. I already highlighted this earlier in the session. So this, when we, I apologize, my wife was texting me. When we get this roll down right here, we close underneath. This one doesn't count. This one does count. This sets me up for the backside test. And I said in the room, you can short 29.86 against 29.88, and you have a pretty damn good chance of getting a roll down out of there. And sure enough, if you shorted 86, you were able to get a roll all the way down to first 82.25 and late 81.50, right? And again, you can see when these stochastics are way overextended, right? You get a pop back up. And then the interesting thing about that is the bottom, right? That is the bottom of this big push up. There really isn't any up waves to be had in here. But here's what got interesting, and here's what I missed on on ES as well. Kudos to Bill who called it. He saw the wave and he took it. We push down, we get this first series of waves up. We get this bar to close above the wave. Backside test, speed bar, again, speed bar fractal shift up. And he had a pretty much a straight up ride to 29.89. And then you'll see that we came back. Now I want to show you this over here, right? See when we end up with this wave here, this is 9:02 in the morning, right? So two things. Number one, wave number one, wave number two. So up on top, this little area right here is now resistance. So I'm going to cut this right here, right? Two things happen here, guys. We get above the wave and it closes back in. That's almost always an instant short, right? Again, this is pretty aggressive day trading techniques, right? You really have to know these and learn these, which is why I coach them to my coaching clients. However, you have to be willing to take the stop back up or the pop back up. So you have to be pretty certain that we're going to push back in. Your stochastics is way, way, way extended. I thought that was a nice little trap, right? What we didn't get is a speed bar fractal shift down. That was the only thing that was missing here, or that would have been instant. I want to show you something. Now we know where the wave is, right? When we come up later in the day, we're going to come up to the 88. Look at the instant rejection that you get in that area. That's 3-4 points. For most day traders, that's a good trade, right? And not only did it give it to you once, it gave it to you 2 times before it broke back to the upside. Now, coming off the bottom, this is where I could have improved, right? So when we were coming off the bottom, and by the way, I had the long, let's see, I had the short this morning, and I had a long somewhere in here. I have to go look. Not sure if I was long off the bottom. I don't remember at this point, but it clearly set up. So see this rotation here? This one does not set up. See how we don't get a point of control here? I'm going to cut this for a second. So see how this is the first wave up? We then get a down wave. We then, right, then we get another down wave. Doesn't count till we don't get 3 across either way, right? So then this wave right here ends up being our first wave up, that right there at 10:30. And we clearly close above it by more than a tick, if nothing else right there. That backside test, these 3 bars, is now a valid long location. Look at the push that you got out of that. Now I got to tell you, I must have been tired by 10:53 because I didn't take that long. Bill did take that long. Congratulations to him. He nailed it to the upside. I did not take that long, and I live to regret it. I did scalp a short out of here, but obviously we just weren't exhausted out of this area. The whole point of the technique, right? The whole point of this, guys, is that if you can stay mentally sharp and keep up with the rotations, right? These are providing you with fantastic trade locations on backside tests. If you can get the fractal and the shift, or just the fractal itself, and it doesn't trade underneath the fractal, it's giving you great location for a lift. So where would have I wanted to improve? I got the short off back over here early in the morning, right? I did not take the trap back in because I did not get a fractal. However, you'll see we got a fractal shift up. And the moment we closed underneath that fractal shift up, roll to the downside. I should have caught that. I could have simply put my entry on this bar or waited for anything close to a backside test and used my stop right above that. It would have been a 2 to 3 point stop for a beautiful rotation lower. I didn't get it. So I've noted it. I know how to improve it for tomorrow. Right. And again, you'll see each time we close behind these fractals a great deal of the time, we get additional push. I wasn't all that bearish down here, and I wasn't all that bullish up here. And this is too late in the day for me to trade, although that worked perfectly. You can see we shifted down. You see the shift down back into the prior swing high. That is a trap almost every single time, and worth pursuing. And then you will see again, this is the first wave down. Off the top, those 3 bars, that is resistance, and that is exactly where we traded back over to on the backside. And so the cool thing about this is providing a constant kind of turn the map, turn the page way of trading, where you are getting a constantly new support and resistance areas based on not on some older chart, but what the market is telling you to do on a day-by-day basis. Anyways, this took a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. It's been a while since I've done a detailed trade review on video. So I hope y'all like it. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to visit us in the room, is my trading technique simple? It is not. If you need simple, go lose money with someone who says their deal is simple. If you want levels, I post levels. The levels work, right? There's no question about that. Here's the levels. Levels worked, right? Here's the levels in ES. Here's the levels in, well, the levels in GC didn't matter today. And here's the levels in CL, which, by the way, I'll have posted in just a couple of minutes. The levels work. There's no question about it, right? You just have to ask yourself, right? If you're a day trader, why is it that you're failing? If you're failing over and over again, or what is it that's keeping you in a boom bust cycle? And then you have to be willing to be a champion, meaning go find where your trading errors were, whether they were trades you didn't take or trades you did take, and you can do better for the next day. Write them down in detail. Go through the cycle you're in. Like, I know I got pissed at my stop, so I didn't reset. I didn't let go of my mistakes, so then I missed my very next setup. You can't do that. You have to let go of the mistake and go, what's my next setup, and come in and take it. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. Guys in the room, this is done primarily for y'all. I hope it helps. I'll have it posted as soon as I'm done. You can email me at tradeandperform@gmail.com. Let's go have a kick-ass day again tomorrow. And Wednesday, I am probably taking off because I do not like dealing with markets where everyone's hanging on every word some congressman or senator says. So have a wonderful day, and I will talk to everyone later. Thank you.